So I went to court yesterday. Let me just start by saying, me and authority figures just do not mesh well together. It's not that I'm a bad person, but I've just been intimidated very easily by all kinds of people, and they are on the top of that list. I mean, it makes sense, but it's a little bit irrational as far as it goes with me. I'm a little bit extreme. I really wasn't sure what I was getting into when I went. I couldn't even figure out, my anxiety. I have anxiety, and it was so bad that I was freaking out over how I'm supposed to bring my freaking food with me, because I'm not made of money. I actually don't make money. I was basically living that day on 4 Nutri-Grain bars off-brand, a cup of coffee, and a cherry Coke. That was my sustenance for the day. I had 5 hours of sleep because I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning, and that's just not my regular schedule. So I ended up going to this place, and it's way different than I thought. You go in there, they check you for any, weapons that you have to go through, a metal detector sort of thing. And I go through that. And then I go up there, and I find out I am, way, way, way earlier than I needed to be. I was, a half hour early, and just had to sit there for the longest time, waiting to go into the jury, pool room, wherever that was. And so we go into there, or actually it's a lounge. Anyway, so we go in there, and we have a slideshow shown to us. I still was not sure how to feel about this. I was conflicted, because it was just I don't want to do this, but at the same time, I kind of do now. Which is weird, because I have never actually been slightly interested based on a PowerPoint. I don't know. Maybe it's all the crime shows. Maybe that's why it's influencing me or something. I don't know. So, later on, we are given badges. I was the second group, and we end up parting ways, just waiting. I end up just sitting in this area by the desk, and I'm just talking to this guy for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. I am not someone that likes talking to strangers, but we were sitting there so long together that I just might as well say something. I mean, my phone was dying, I was running out of things to do, I was bored, so you know what, I'm gonna talk to someone. And among all the topics that I could have brought up, I mentioned Ebola. I told him all about how Ebola works. I told him that I had gum grafts done, and I'm getting my braces off soon. I told him all this irrelevant shit because I was just bored, and I have the weirdest things that I talk about. I don't know. I guess I am amused by people being weirded out by me to a degree or something. I don't know. But the way that I was talking to this guy, you would assume I was a very sociable person. You would assume that I was a total fucking extrovert. And I'm just a little bit off, but I'm totally I'm good. So I end up finally, no, not even finally, not even yet, we were sitting there, okay, from, I don't know, it was some point in the morning. I'm assuming it was somewhere 9-ish, 9:30, 10, something like that. So we were waiting, and they never told us to come in. And then it was almost lunchtime, and I ended up just starting eating early on, because at this point I was this is never gonna happen. We've been sitting here for a few hours already, and they've not come for us. So then we find out that they've decided to put it off until 1:20, because they're doing some sort of deliberations, whatever, I don't know. I'm just sitting there eating my Nutri-Grain bars, because I have anxiety about eating in front of people. I really didn't like doing it. In fact, I had crumbs all over my lap. Why is it the stuff that I bring is just so messy that there's just crumbs everywhere? I don't know. So I basically had Pop-Tarts too, by the way. I just didn't eat them because anxiety. They actually did not show up for another hour still to have us go into the room to be interviewed, basically, around every freaking one else. I find out that I'm number 12. I figured that out early on. I just didn't know the significance of it. I end up being in the box, because there's 12 seats in the box, and then there's these seats off to the side. I was the 12th one. After they lined us up, we ended up going in. I immediately messed up, because you're supposed to stand. They said, stay standing when you get in there. And what do I immediately do? I sit. Good job, me. So someone else sitting next to me has to tell me, no, you're supposed to stand. Oh, crap. So I've already messed this up. My nerves are already up. This is just not going to end well, I can tell. But it wasn't really that bad yet. So they end up basically talking to us about flies and intent and innocent until proven guilty and following the law and just trying to figure out where our morals lie and whether or not we'll actually follow, the directions and all this stuff. And they did this sort of demonstration where it's basically like the one person ended up saying, like, so if you wave your hand in the air like this, because you're like trying to get a fly away, like swat the fly, and then someone sees you, what do you think they're going to think? I'm swatting at a fly. So what if you end up doing this? She slapped the table. She fucking just slammed her hand on the table. And you're trying to kill the fly, but you miss. So what do people think you were doing right there? And she ends up just targeting this one guy, and she asks him exactly what people would think. And it's basically a rehash of what she said. Well, that you were swatting a fly, that you were trying to kill a fly. And it's like, okay, this is uncomfortable. I feel sorry for this guy. And then the defendant ends up like doing the same thing and just rehashing everything all over again. And this guy has to just say the same exact thing, pretty much. So then it made sense. They were basically trying to say there's hard evidence, and then there's just the evidence where it's basically like you infer that something happened just because of what you saw. And they also mentioned the difference between the civil case and the other case, whatever those were. I don't know at the moment. But there was one case that's more serious than the other. And circumstantial evidence is okay versus definitive, like, hardcore, solid evidence. And basically it was just that saying that the defendant's job was actually to let you know that that is not definitive, that she was trying to swat the fly. You didn't see her actually trying to kill the fly. All you saw was her hand fucking waving about and slamming on tables. Okay, he didn't say that. There's a whole bunch of questions. They end up like, first they end up asking the entire room, like, if there's anything that, is gonna like interfere with their ability as a juror. And pretty much, like, very little of us actually raised our hands to say that there'd be any issues. Okay, and then eventually, there was this list of questions, and all of us had to stand up, use the microphone, and just talk about ourselves. First thing was the name. Okay, that's pretty easy. Second thing was residence. Okay, that's legit. And then they're asking occupation. I don't have an occupation. This is already awkward. And then leisure activities. Video games. They wanted to ask if there was anyone that you know that you're close to that's like in law enforcement, which I definitely am close to someone in law enforcement. Then if there was anything that they needed to know that might interfere with your judgment or with your ability to make a fair decision. And I was just listening to all these other people before me. I was number 12, so I was the 12th person. It wouldn't be so bad if it was like they were talking to me right off the bat and just like, okay, so tell me about yourself, answer these questions. It wouldn't be so bad, but like when you have anxiety and you just have to wait and wait and wait and you know the inevitable's coming, it just makes it even worse, especially because you can compare your answers to other people. It gets to me, and by now I realize, oh shit. My heart is racing right now. This is not gonna end well. And it's just sad because, like, these other people, they had really good, credible jobs. These people were all, like, super older than me. They were, like, mature. They were all, all good. Like, pretty much all of them were talking about, like, fishing, swimming, hiking, and my activities are video games. So it's just really, really awkward mentioning all that stuff. But at the end of it, it's sad because as much as they could tell that there was, like, a small bit of shakiness in my voice, and it was just obvious at the end of it because there was that thing where you're supposed to say, like, anything that might interfere. I was just like, and I have anxiety, but I stuttered. So I basically ended up telling them that I had anxiety while stuttering. So it wasn't like something hugely dramatic, but it was still something that was just mortifying for me at the time. Because, like, I have anxiety and I'm in this room full of people and everyone else is successful and just cool with being there, and I'm just sitting here, a bundle of nerves. I can't sit still. I'm fidgeting. For some reason, they kept targeting me. I don't know why, but they just kept asking me individually questions. And the stuff that was the most memorable was basically like that the majority of the questions that I was asked, I just said not really. After a long pause, not really. I got nothing to add to that. I didn't say that. But the thing that made it really awkward was actually when he started making this other point, and the guy that I was sitting next to, he actually mentioned what that term they used meant, which was the innocent until proven guilty concept, except that it was a really fancy term they used, and I can't remember what it is. I barely even comprehended it at the time. Like, I was like, is that innocent until proven guilt? I don't know. But it sounds like that's what that is. So the guy next to me basically explains what it is without actually using that phrase, and it was like, okay, that's pretty solid, that makes sense. And then the guy ends up like, well, the defendant, he ends up asking me, are you comfortable? So I'm just sitting there silent, like deer in the headlights. Holy crap, everyone's looking at me. And the thing that my bright fucking ass puts out there is, I was until you talked to me. I seriously fucking said that. The entire room just starts cracking up laughing. So now I am the laughing stock. I mean, I'm laughing too, so this is kind of like laughing with me in a way. But the entire room just starts laughing. And there was no way I was going to be on the jury that day. There was no way. But the part that was actually really awesome about that is once I actually left the room, and I was, by the way, really giddy and really awkward, and I was just fucking ecstatic that I was not put on the jury, even though I knew that I wasn't going to be. I was like clutching my bag before they even said who was going to be on it. I was just like, I know I'm not going to be on this, and I'm so happy for that. I just don't want to. I do not want to. And then everyone just lines up to leave the room. The jury that was actually meant to be there stays put. But, like, we're all leaving. I'm the last one out. And this lady that lined us up to begin with, she's just like, you're glowing! And I'm just basically back at her like, yeah, I'm really fucking happy right now. Which is where she basically just says, like, give me your tag. Get out of here. And I fucking leave.